introduce the rest of our players here in just a moment's time. We have Unhappy, another OLA. It's going to be OLA.FROUDO, Alnert, OLA.Hass, OLA.Nareba, Motorstormer, and Arthalex to round out our grand final. I do believe that this is confirmed all 8. I'm not sure if anybody missed the start of the grand final. I don't think that was the case. But here we go. Frodo versus Alnert. Team Phantom, if I do recall correctly, if that's what that acronym stands for. Seen them around the Discord for a little while. Early game of Rogues versus Empaths here. Gonna be Frodo with the Rogues on the green side. Alnert in the red. It's a pretty tanky Earth Grocko to have to try and fight through. Trying to dam this, get it pretty low. Can it pop one more stun off? No, it will not. So it's just a matter of taking care of the Atlas, which they do. Frodo going to start off on the strong side here. And I'd point out the OLA team kills, but I feel like that'll happen quite a few times here in this one, considering there's the 3 of them. It is unavoidable at this point. Hopping on a ride with Unhappy going up against Alnert again. Alnert taken down in that last one, but how will they hold up here versus Unhappy, who's already got the Harbinger class buff on, so that Axon is going to be a jerk once again here. It's not Nareba this time using it, though. Point blank up against the tank. Here comes the Lynx on the side of Alnert to going right up against the Earth Grocko on the side of Unhappy. Does manage to take it down, but by focusing the tank and let the Lynx take care of their Lynx, I think so far this looks rather decent for Unhappy, whose Lynx is able to get onto the heels. That triple chop of sorts, those claws doing tons of damage. I don't think you're going to be able to out-sustain that. Nope, the Archie does go down. One more triple chop coming on through. It takes care of one. And once again, the Axon still just left standing. That alongside the damage from that Lynx was enough. Unhappy going to take that one. Of course, our grand finals here for today. This Dreamers Esports. This Dreamers Esports tournament happens twice a week. Twice a week for Illuvium, happens twice a week for Teamfight Tactics. Their own little leaderboard and everything. With Web3 tokens and crypto coins as a prizing. I know personally it's free to enter anyway, so I just love a good competition. As we do see Red Side getting absolutely shredded here in this one. Brutal, brutal showing. This is going to be a weird one here for Motorstormer then, because the last 2 games that we did get to see with them, they've basically been in, if not the driver's seat, like 2nd or 3rd, pretty well the entire way through. I've never gotten to see how they end up playing when pushed from behind, or from trying to catch up being behind, so this will be a little bit different. Nareba in the same kind of position, it looks like. And we did get the glitch where it doesn't bring us into the carousel, so gonna have to wait for just a moment. While we do this, let's huddle in with Frodo for a little team meeting. Definitely a sucker for the hollow lynxes. I gotta find one myself. Alright, there we go. Frodo's gonna be going up against Unhappy. Switch on over. Here's the one of the OLA team kills here. We do have Haas in the green, Nareba in the red. 4 rogues versus fighters and empaths. Let's dive on through here in just a moment's time. Already getting the quick tier 3s rogues. This happens every single time the carousel happens, doesn't it? Makes sense, at least we'll know for next time. And it looks like the rogues are going to prevail, which means in theory this should be Nareba taking a bunch of heat once again. From 83 down to 78. Alright, there we go. Next round here, Frodo versus Ma, it looks like. Two of our leaders. Nothing too fancy out of the side of mods, just the 2 empaths, 2 bulwarks, and you got the links there for some decent DPS. Meanwhile, on the other side, the 1 rogue alongside 3 empaths, so a little bit more sustain on the side of Frodo. But the 2 links is, especially the links that Ma has that has the items on it. If that thing doesn't get taken down, that could be a little bit scary. Sure, there is the 1 psionic links. Could do the trick. There's the charge shot coming on through. It is a 3-on-1, but granted, this thing hits like a truck if it gets stability off. While being untargetable, fires on through the links, does take it out. Arcane Links, can it get 1 more shot and take them down? No, it will be defeated. Right on the doorstep. Does manage to take out the Atipo, but not enough to take out the Ranger. So a very, very close battle, but Ma is going to take that one. As they now go up against Nareba. AlnertlPHTM is up against Alnert as well. Arthalex up against Unhappy. That Axon, though, once again, I mean, we've seen time and time again so far here in this tournament how many people just like Axons. And in this instance here with Unhappy, having already 2 completed tank items on it, and then a little bit of extra health as well if that augment is just absolutely devastating. It is going to eventually be taken down, but look how many other characters or many other Illuvials the red side had to lose to even get to that point. Granted, as I say that, they're actually going on through here. This tier 5 Alfie is just doing such a great job. Sheesh, I thought that one was going over towards Unhappy's side, and man, was I wrong. Motorstormer versus Unhappy here in this next round. Nareba really taking a lot of heats as well, already down 63. Motorstormer in the same boat. Two players that I've not seen had the fight from behind at all so far in this tournament, so little awkward spot for them to try and fight their way out of. Ma, in the meantime, though, sitting pretty. But as for our battle here this time, by pretty well mirrors in terms of what is being used class-wise, but affinity-wise, it couldn't be any more different. The 5 Earth, 3 Fire compared to the 2 Air, 1 Fire, 1 Earth. So lots more bonuses going into the red side's favor. See the Revo jumping pretty much right on my shoulder here, trying to get a shot at the tank, but that Grocco is just doing such a good job of staying alive, only falling now. And this is why affinity is not everything. What looks like statistically should go one way actually goes the complete opposite. Yeah, the pain just continues here for Nareba. Alnert going to hold the middle pack as we have ourselves another NPC around our DPS check. But of course, while we have our DPS check, if anybody in the comments once to let me know what is your favorite alluvial in this first set. Of course, many more planned in the future, but these will always be the classics. I know I kind of mentioned it before in round one, but mine is the Archie line. The Archelion is my favorite. Taking a look at a battle towards the bottom. Haas has kind of found their way down into the bottom half as well. Granted, still at 72 health. Motorstormer still trying to fight their way out there. They have the rogues to do it. 5 of them currently for Haas. And then it's actually Bulwark Fighter for Motorstormer. Sorry, I had that backwards at first. So, obviously rogues jumping into fighters isn't necessarily something they want to do. But if they have a dive buddy or two, it may not matter. I like the repositioning done here by Motorstormer to have the tanks actually be the ones that catch the rogues. And how many casualties do they find? They do lose the Ranger, but it isn't going to be a perfect 1-for-1. The Axon even going to be getting extremely low. Lots of Alluvials falling here. Or Motorstormer, it looks like. The empaths on the side of Haas was able to hang on as well and just be a nuisance that entire time. So the rogues from Haas coming in clutch here, knocking Motorstormer to 45 and getting them into the spot where I would start getting a little bit antsy if I were playing. Which is definitely rough because at this point here, round 13, I don't think you're at max interest yet. Or you're pretty close. Depends on if you've rolled or not, or how much you've spent on leveling yourself up. And oh dear, we'll see it later, but the fact that Frodo already has a ramp fire is kind of... Oh, not ramp fire. Ramp fight. I keep screwing that one up, but the fact that they have that already is kind of terrifying, as is the fact that it looks like Unhappy has a squeeze that is decked out with a bunch of mage items, as well as that Axon decked out with a bunch of tank items. But tank means nothing if you don't have the damage. They actually reset the squeeze, it looks like. Opting to reassign some of those items over to the Ramphy, as well as their Mammoth. So, did not want to put all their eggs in the squeeze basket, which, considering the squeeze just got jumped on by that Vermilio, is probably a good choice. But the charm coming on out here from the red side gonna make things a little bit annoying. Good fireball coming in the back line here for the red side, but that Ramphy is going to end up falling. Unhappy will get taken down here. Alnert positioned it perfectly to just quickly dispose of that composition. Nareba does manage to break the streak, it looks like, at that 46 health mark. Takes the win. Keeping them and Motorstormer extremely close as we do get the ride along this time here in the carousel. Motorstormer, you got first pick. Find something of value. A good pick up there from Nareba to be able to pick up the Scoriox line. And Motorstormer gets the Mammoth as well. So, of course, at the very worst, if you don't want that Alluvial, you just sell it, and both of them would have 4 extra credits, which is a pretty big deal. However, both of the Alluvials that they picked are favorited amongst the competitive player base, especially now. I believe that the Scoriox did end up getting buffed. So it does a little bit more damage as your auto attack carry. But you'll oftentimes see the Mammoth getting put into compositions, even if it's not air-based. However, we are seeing an air-based one here. Air and Fire Inferno we actually get to see. Which in theory, you got the Inferno to take care of the grass type here that we're seeing on the left-hand side. However, air is not good against grass. So it kind of counters each other out here. Of course, it's the carousel. I gotta go back real quick. So Ma, with the green nature style, is going to be generating hyper, or damage and a little bit of healing. Sort of like super effectiveness if you're used to, say, Pokemon, for example. And you can see the sparks flying from the Inferno, but the damage over time I do not think is going to be enough to stop the sustain of this massive nature inverted squad. You see that green shape on the ground. Any green players stepping in that just get healed over time, and that's why even still, many seconds into this battle, there's still so many high health bars. Just the air kind of getting countered out did not do any favors to the opponent there. Motorstormer going up against Ma as well. This is kind of rough if they end up losing that one, because they will be close to Death's Door. Haas looks like they might have disconnected. Their name is grayed out here. It would be very unfortunate if they had to actually leave, but it looks like that might have been the case. So let's hop back with Ma and Motorstormer. Get to see if they can take a crack at trying to break this bunker that we're seeing here in the top left side. They do have a little bit more consistent damage as they're dealing with fighters. Or they're trying to get it as fighters, rather. They have the tier 5 foe. They have the polar bear that's tier 4. So these are some very powerful fighters. Can they sustain through? So far it looks right now Motorstormer is able to punch their way through. They are on the back line. They've killed off the main healers. They should be able to clean this up, and Motorstormer in the perfect position to try and maybe snowball a comeback. Exactly what Motorstormer needed there. Just enough consistent damage that could outpace the healing. As we then go into our next NPC round, defensive check up against the rogues. Boris up on the left-hand side there, of course. Anything that lines up in front of it gets tagged once it uses its ability. Basically shoots an arrow across everybody. One of the best fighters, if not... Oh, it's definitely up there. It's the tier 5 fighter, but some would argue that the polar bear is better, even though it's tier 4. Alnerd, oddly enough, still has... Or not oddly enough, we just finished an item round. Of course they're going to have items. Now this will be interesting here. So Nareba trying to find their way back into this one after having a very rough start. Unhappy was off to a pretty decent start, but then kind of got taken down. They do have the ramp fight, and they position it properly to get much value. You can see very quickly here, Nareba's trying to get some sort of control onto this ramp fight. And we'll have to see how the dive goes. Does the ramp fight find a good hole to get into? It's literally dead center in the middle of the team. Absolute worst case scenario. Granted, they stun it up. It's going to fire off the ability. Does it get to? No, it does actually go down right before getting the chance to pop the ability. Now is the opportunity here for Nareba to get the damage done. Had that ramp fight actually fired off its ability in time, that would have been devastating to everybody surrounded there, but the stun coming out from the Apon was enough to stop it in its tracks, and the damage from the Ferriox and the Sea Forest was enough to shut it down. Everything goes right here for Nareba. But I feel like we're starting to see a lot of these ramp fights kind of coming into play here. It's a fan favorite based off the way it looks and the way it plays, and it's no different here in the tournament scene. The perfect bunker buster if you can find the opening. As we have Arthalex versus Unhappy. And this is on the contrary. We see the double Scions coming out as well here from Unhappy. So really trying to force firepower with the squeeze alongside the ramp fight. Try and deal with the sliff that's in the background. Deal with the sustain The jump this time here for Unhappy is just going to go pushed off to the side, so still do some decent damage. However, it took down 3 of them extremely quickly, including the support line. So that is just going to make it completely curtains here. That's what Unhappy was looking for. Arthalex going to fall down to 45, and we're slowly but surely starting to get more and more players into that danger zone. With Haas likely to be the first casualty, as it looks like they did disconnect. Two players closer to the bottom this time, Unhappy and Motorstorm. Also looking to do the kill shot here onto Haas, who did basically just go for the most part all rogue, but just could not connect after the fact. I think it's a safe bet that that's probably going to be an elimination if they haven't been around for a good couple of rounds. So now Motorstormer versus Unhappy, and we're seeing the dance here. Everybody trying to get the last second positions changed to try and position around that ramp fight and position the battle as best as they possibly can. And we're going to see it. White on that left-hand side. Fires it up. Going to find 2, including the Archos. Gets completely demolished. Inferno getting targeted as well. Granted, some decent damage being done up in the top right-hand side. One more ult. Can they run away? They actually run away from the ramp fight this time. The blinds coming in at a good position, too. The ramp fight did not get any swings off on this squad. Very, very close. One-on-one battle. Ranger versus the Forox. For us, and it is going to be our favorite little green bird securing that one-on-one in a very, very close fashion. Unhappy now at death's door up against Alnert. Love the little hollow Verminio there. Loaded up with tank items as well, so sure it jumps into this heat of battle as if it's a rogue, but it is completely willing to tank as much as possible. Now once again, all eyes on the Ferrite, or the Rampfight rather. I'm literally mixing names together in this one. Not a bad spot actually here if I'm in the green, considering the position of the ramp fight. I'm not necessarily too concerned, but a lot of the rogues actually dove on top of it to try and kill it, and it's actually a kamikaze mission. That ramp fight just took care of 4 of the green players. Luvials by itself. One more time up to the skies. Is it enough to kill? It is close. It is absolutely going to be able to get it done because that thing had Omnivamp, and by hitting so many Luvials, it healed basically up to full. Absolute devastation coming up there from that ramp fight. One more time around the carousel we go. Possibly 2, maybe 3 players on death's door. Unhappy, Arthalex, Nareba. All a little bit nervous, to say the least. Going to be picking up as much value as they can. Nareba did pick up the foe, so whether they wanted the tank item or whether they want to sell it for 5, I mean, high value nonetheless. Motorstormer kind of gets the short end of the stick there. Sitting at 28 HP, but still at the halfway point. Definitely unlucky in that regard. Taking a look around the board here. Of our remaining 7 players in this game as they go up against the NPC defensive check, the send-off there is going to be the win con for the player that we're highlighting over, but I can't see their drone, so I cannot remember who exactly we're highlighting over. That Ferriox is going to be scary as well, loaded up on attack damage, carry, attack speed kind of items, exactly what it loves. clean that up nice and quick and get ourselves back into the battle. Because, of course, this is your grand finals here for the Dreamers Esports Daydream Tournament. Because anybody who made the top 8 already got into the prizing, but, of course, better prizing the higher you go. And who's going to take care of this one? Get all the ladder points as well for the Dream Ladder. Nareba versus Arthalex. Going to be the one I think we take a look at here. The C4 is going to be doing some pretty decent damage, but it's not going to be the main carry that we're looking for. We're going to be paying attention to the Scoriox now that he just picked up. This thing just going to slowly but surely just pack a consistent punch to the sustained team that we see on the other side here of Arthalex. The Exalted Gorilla as well, loaded up on damage items as well. So it's going to be doing a fantastic job of just being slippery, trying to get in towards the Sylph. Will they be able to find it? They immediately burst down the tank and dive on in towards the front line, actually. Very, very close there for the Scoriox to go down, but it is going to hang on tight. The Sylph was targeting it at first. Instead now, going to end up going towards the Ebb, which is going to be able to heal some people before they end up going down. Lots of low health bars here on the Arthalex's side. They may not have the Scoriox to worry about, but they have everything else to worry about, and they will go down. C-Forest and the rest of the squad there for Nareba, able to get the job done. On the meantime, hopping over to Frodo. Frodo does get taken out here by Alnert, so brought down to 38. Nareba, the only one I think threatened on death's door here. Hop on back over. The Scoriox was in danger that entire time. Still did a pretty decent amount of damage. Wasn't there for the end though, and I'm not sure if Ma is going to let him get away with that compared to how Arthalex did. Does look like Ma does have the Super Chicken, the Blazonite in the background. So this is Verdant and Wildfire. This is what I love to see. This is what I love to play. Hardly ever do I ever get to see the Blazonite actually come into fruition, though. It was usually a pretty contested alluvial. It may be an empath, but that thing might as well be an AD carry of sorts. Charging on through. As of right now, the carry's all pretty well untouched. A Gorilla in the back line of the green side here of Ma, but it is not going to be able to get past the sustain. The greens are sustaining too well, it looks like. Never mind. There is a hole. They have found the hole to get on in. Scoriox is still just pumping out tons of damage. Blazonite going to end up going on down. And it's just a matter of time now for the red squad to pump on through and shut this down. It looks like Nareba is going to hang on once again. Ma now on death's door. Motorstormer on death's door. Nareba on death's door. Top 5. And this is where things get a little bit antsy, a little bit terrifying, if you will. Nareba versus Motorstormer. It's Nareba's Ghost. Let's see if we can find one where it's player versus player here. Alnert leading the charge here with 41, looking to get the killing blow onto Nareba. But Nareba versus Motorstormer, because this is probably, or could possibly be a finishing blow here to Motorstormer. But it could be the play that they need to try and get there, considering the Ghost is not positioned to fight their team in particular. Can they capitalize? They have the forest for themselves, just being able to pretty well uncontestedly just attack the tank until its power spike happens. And it looks like, actually, Motorstormer is going to keep themselves into this game. With the way that snapped, it made me think that somebody got eliminated, but no. Still in this one. Alnert did actually lose the battle versus, I believe it was Nareba. So now 21, that is not a very comfortable number at either. I don't think they lose off of one loss, but I mean, I could be wrong. All right, bottom 2, Nareba versus Motorstormer. Motorstormer was able to win when it was the ghost not positioned specifically for their team, but can they do it when Nareba is completely focused on them? Scoriox and Seaforus completely left alone up into the corner. Can anybody challenge them? The big tank though, the Goliath, just gets completely taken down. Look at the Scorpion on the side of red, just chopping through everybody, as well as the Forest, who's on top of the Seaforce, just completely shredding on through. Nareba gets absolutely demolished there. Motorstormer has their number and takes care of them, while Alnert on 1 HP. Your top 4 in this Dreamers tournament. OLA.FROUDO, Ma, Motorstormer, and Alnert. Low-key a little bit of a heartbreaker here for the OLA squad, considering they had 3 members in this grand final. For only Frodo to be in the top half definitely has to suck a little bit. Granted, Haas kind of got disconnected for one way or another. So, that is what it is there. Nareba very, very close, but ended up getting 5th here in this instance. Now, I can't imagine anybody going down to the empath trial. But that is a scary team to say the least. All rogues and a fox. Just diving on through. Now here's the awkward part. With so many people within kill shot, we could very well have our final round with 4 people still in the game. And we are going to see, this one is probably the one, I don't know what to choose between the 2 of these. This is actually so close. So Motorstorm and Alner, one of them's knocking each other out for sure. But does somebody get knocked out from Frodo versus Ma? I'm not 100% sure, but I know for sure that somebody's getting knocked out right here, right now. So we're going to take our chances. We're going to go along here with Alnert as well. Nope, never mind, I lied. We're going to the top. Choices, choices, choices. But here we go. 7 rogues versus 5 empaths. And a heck of a lot of healing and a heck of a lot of sustain. Ram fight right in the sweet spot, and there's no justifying this one. Tears on through half the health bars. They can heal through this though. They can hang on by a thread. Does another one come on through? Does not get the second one either. They're gonna be able to out sustain even through the ramp fight ultimate. And they're gonna be able to burn it down. Frodo from 1st to 4th. Now on the other side, Motorstormer versus Alnert. It is going to be Motorstormer, so this is it. Your grand final round. I think both of these players are within kill shot. Heck, even the damn roulette wheel is nervous at this point, given how exciting and close this is. It is a last round scenario. Motorstormer wins. I believe it does do more than 17 damage. And without question, if Motorstormer does end up dropping here, that is going to be the end of this one. Does manage to pick out the Alfie, so maybe looking for a little extra firepower. And oh god, okay, I have no control out of my camera. I can switch sides, but I can't switch the angle, so screw this. I guess this is the angle we're running then, because this of course is your grand final. It's the sustain coming out from Ma with that nature wildfire style, compared to the heavy hitters, frontline brawlers coming out here from Motorstormer. Let's have it. Your grand finals, it relies on this one. Ma or Motorstormer, let's go. Oh god, of course it was the round after the roulette wheel. One second. Even the game's laughing at me at this point here, but okay, here we go. Now we're into the swing of things. Some decent sustain. That Grocko got extremely low. It's hanging on. The Gnarl is going to end up falling, so the first big body going down on the side of Ma. Riley does end up going down as well. Now they're on the Blotto. These blinds are being rather nuisancey, though. The Scorpion was stuck. It was stuck that entire time. Over the last couple of seconds, it could not swing. There might just be too much healing now here for Motorstormer to have to get on through. And sure enough, time's going to run out. And Ma is your winner here in the Dreamers Esports Daydream Tournament for Illuvium Arena.